Welcome back once again to howtocookgreatfood.com. If you have not already, please click that button and subscribe to our channel. On the menu today, and as you can see right here, just finished this, we're going to make some minced beef with potatoes in a Indian fashion, like a curry, or Aloo Keema. It's really simple to make. I think it's wonderful, a really wonderful dish. Let's stop chatting, let's go and do it. Okay, let's take a look at some ingredients. I've got these four at the back here. They're pretty much equal parts. You can play around with that a little bit. I've got onion. I'm using red, you can use white, no problem. Today I'm using a minced beef, but this applies to mince pork, chicken or lamb, up to you I suppose. But you're going with a beef. I've got like a sort of 80-20 there, like a little bit of fat in it. You can decide on that if you want pure meat or a little bit more fat, but I don't mind a little bit of fat. Got some potatoes here cut nice and small. They're raw, that's why I've cut them small. Going to get them cooked nicely in there. And a nice juicy tomato. So they're the big main ingredients. Over here I've got some garlic and ginger, fresh, that I've chopped. Entirely up to you how much you put in, as is the fresh green chilli. We like chilli this end, so we've got like sort of 4 or 5 decent hot chilies there. Cilantro or coriander, depending on where you come from, is what you will call that. That's going to go in right at the end. And just today I'm just going to use some cumin seeds and cardamom. That's it for my whole seeds, my garam masala today. That is completely it. There are obviously hundreds and hundreds of ways. You can make garam masala in a whole form. You can add lots of different types of seeds. I'm going to use these 2 today. Here I've got my powders. Now in there, let me give them a little mix. There's 4 different powders. You may know, if you're regular to the show, that I call these the big 4. That's equal parts of turmeric, cumin, coriander and chili powder. If you don't want to do that, you might have your own curry powder. Go ahead and use that. We're going to start this off with a little bit of oil. I'm using a sunflower oil today. Again, another type of oil will be fine. Touch of salt, perhaps a touch of water. That's about it. Let's go and do it. Okay, so here's my pot that I'm using. You're going to need a lid, so I've got a lid there. I've got some oil in there, which is heating up nicely. We're going to start off by adding our whole garam masala, of which, like I said, is just cumin seeds and green cardamom today. We just want to fry them around in that oil. They're going to infuse that oil and give that a lovely flavour. If you want, you can use less oil. I often get messages and mail saying I use too much oil. I use as much oil as I like, basically. So if you want to use less, use less. If you want to use more, use more. I'm happy with this amount, so everyone will do it differently. So this is firing away nicely. Infusing that oil. We're now going to go in with our garlic and our ginger. And our onions. And we're just going to cook these for I'm on a kind of fairly lively high heat. So we're going to cook these for just about a minute or so, minute 90 seconds. As you can see, these onions have changed colour a little bit. Wonderful smell. I mean, at the start of any curry or masala that I make, the garlic, the ginger, the onions, and whatever garam masala we're using, I just find always amazing. Love it so much. Okay, now we're going to go in with our potatoes. And you can see I've cut them really nice and small, you know. And again, on this kind of lively heat, let's throw them around in the pan, non-stop, for about another 90 seconds. Now spices, onions, potatoes are really coming together now. These potatoes are obviously still really hard. That's kind of why I cut them nice and small. Just want to cook them quite fast. And also it goes really well with the mince. Talking of mince, let's get that in now. There she goes. Like I said, this is a beef mince I'm using today, but you could use a lamb or something if you wanted. And I'm not making a great deal here. There's only like sort of 300 grams of our meat today. So we're going to break this in there. Break it up, stir it in. I'm going to cook this, continue doing what I'm doing for about 3 minutes now, again on this high heat. While I'm here, going to add a little bit of salt. Be back in 3 or 4 minutes. Really happy with how this is looking. Now I'm going to add some of our powder. So in she goes. Like I say, this is a mix of what I call the big four: turmeric, cumin, coriander and chili. If you don't want to add them in separately like I've done, just use one you get from the store, ready-made curry powder. I always find them not as good, but if that's what you got, go for it. We're just going to turn this over. We're still on this high heat. So I want to turn this over quite quickly. I don't want to burn the spices. If you burn them, they get really bitter. Now I'm going to add that juicy tomato, fresh tomato. Just spread that out on the top. I'm going to add my fresh chilies right now. Now we're going to cover this and we're going to cook it for like 3 or 4 minutes. What should happen is those tomatoes, depending on how juicy they are, will give off some moisture and hopefully create enough masala for us. If not, we're going to add a touch of water, but we won't know that until we come back. See you in about 4 or 5. Okay, let's lower the heat now. And hopefully this masala would have kind of come together a bit. And let some of this steam out for you. There you go, a little bit of moisture in there. Those tomatoes have broken down. Now we're going to stir that in. And that to me is looking fantastic. So on this low heat now, with the lid on, let's let that go just for another 4 or 5 minutes. We're pretty much done. Off goes the heat. Let's take a look now. That's looking really nice to me. Just check those potatoes out. Yeah, they're nice and soft. Not too soft. Simply, I'm going to finish this off with some cilantro or coriander. Give that a mix in. Check that for salt. That's it. Really simple, really easy to make. Hope you enjoyed that and I hope that it helped you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you soon. Lots of love.